Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Modernization, Modernize Your IT Landscape with Managed Services. My name is Dali Abrasado, and it is my pleasure to act as your host and moderator for this morning's event. Well, before we get the ball rolling, I would just like to remind everyone that first, this session is being recorded. If you have any questions, please feel free to click on the Q&A button on your screen to submit your question. And of course, we encourage everyone to stay until the end of the event. We have exciting prizes to be given away all throughout this session. We have quiz breaks, early bird announcements, and a quick scavenger hunt for the eagle-eyed participants. Well, speaking of scavenger hunt, three of our participants today have a chance to win a Me Mini drone at the end of the event. How? You just have to listen and look closely at the presentation slides of our speakers and count how many times you see this image at the end of the screen. Well, towards the end of the event, on my cue, everyone should type their answers on the chat box. First three correct answers based on our event host view, that'll be me, will be announced as winners. So it is that easy to win. So be sure to keep an eye out for this image. And we officially begin the scavenger hunt right after this slide. So with those announcements completed, let's begin our talk about modernization. You know, over the past couple of years, we've seen so much changes within the IT landscape: consolidation, virtualization, cloud, containers, machine learning, and a whole lot more. For sure, there are more trends that will come our way, but one thing is for sure: technology continues to progress and has become more modern with time. At this point, it's either companies learn to ride the waves of change and adapt or get left behind. Well, at Sandz, we understand how important it is to be agile in keeping up with these trends and changes. We also understand how difficult it could be. Well, with these in mind, we are having this session to share with you how Sandz can help you modernize your own IT landscape with our managed services. We have members of our team with us this morning to share our story and what we can offer you as your premier managed service provider. So, first and foremost, we have our managing director, Mr. Henry Velasco. He is a strong advocate of software defined data centers, disaster recovery, and business continuity. With over 30 years of experience, he has continued to challenge the norm in order to inspire change in the IT industry. Well, in 2013, he became one of the first to introduce as a service IT offerings in the local market, beginning with backup and went on to expand to enterprise storage. As the managing director of Sandz Solutions, he has led the transition of the local team from being an IT reseller to a premier managed service provider with proven expertise in infrastructure optimization and IT business resiliency. Good morning, Sir Henry.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here.
Morning. Yes, definitely, sir. And next, we also have the director for Sandz Professional Services Group, my boss. I'm proud to introduce to you Mr. Kendrick Chan, and he has a decade-long experience in the industry and has strongly advocated in helping organization transition towards the digital age. Hello, Sir Ken.
Morning, Dali. Morning, everyone.
Good morning, boss. And rounding up our panel, joining this gentleman is one of our sales directors, Miss Mimi Melejor. Mimi began her career in Sandz way back in 2012 as a sales representative offering enterprise data center solutions to different industries. With the corporate direction focusing on managed services, she shifted gears and lead the company's business development efforts in order to grow the business. To date, she acts as a sales director in charge of expanding the company's client portfolio for managed services while also building business partnership with resellers and telco for additional coverage across the market. Hi, Mimi.
Hi, Dali. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You're so lovely today. And of course, I won't keep you any longer. Here is Mr. Henry Velasco for modernizing your own IT landscape with our managed services. Take it away, Sir Henry.
Hold on, let me just share the screen, huh? Can you see it now?
Not yet, sir.
Hold on, huh? Share screen. There you go. Okay. Can you
It's
see it
okay
now,
now,
Ali?
sir. Yes, yes, sir.
So good morning, everyone. Let me dive right in. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Henry Velasco. I'm the Managing Director of Sandz Solutions Philippines. And like what Dali said, I've been in the IT industry for the last 35 years. In those 30 years, I've witnessed 3 decades of IT evolution: mainframe, client server, and cloud computing. But I would say the connected era or the internet evolution is the most dynamic and exciting time of my career to be in. Exciting and dynamic because on the one hand, we see how technology is fundamentally impacting business models, productivity, and the number of investment being put into technology, and many more. At the same time, disrupting the way business interact and engage with their customers. On the other hand, brand new consumers, no? New breed of consumers, for example, millennials, Generation Z, or what we call digital native, are driven by rapidly evolving expectations and an increasing desire for personalization and demand for speed. For example, as we use Spotify and Netflix, they know what kind of genre we are actually using or what we prefer because of their recommendation engine. So a business must be able to balance this shift in customer behavior and at the same time directly efficiently manage legacy and business processes. Okay, sorry about that. So this is why legacy enterprises are being challenged at a frightening pace by new and agile businesses that embraces superior technology and customer centricity. Given this scenario, business and IT leaders are facing tremendous pressure. There is a constant struggle to keep the cost low, especially in managing and maintaining legacy application, and at the same time, business needs to innovate in order to compete and survive in this data-driven world. There is a tug of war between these two groups because these are coherent but opposing situations to create and deliver business change. They're like family members but opposing religious and political beliefs. The one on the left is a very strict and controlled environment where cost must be contained. There is almost no room for error, and at the same time, IT practitioners must be able to keep the lights on 24/7. A good example would be maintaining and managing our legacy system. On the other hand, the one on the right, the team is allowed to even encourage to make mistake. Cost is not the main driver, but there is also a sort of a culture clash or envy between these two groups. The innovation group is perceived to be a favorite child. Actually, way back in 2017, Gartner has a term for this, which they call bimodal operation. So whatever your company's vision is for the future, it must include digital transformation in order to grow or even survive. Even before the pandemic, new and transformative technologies are actually rapidly entering the workplace, enabling business to innovate and thrive in this data-driven world. But then 2020 and the pandemic happened, And what was supposed to take years had to happen in only a few months or less. So digital transformation has been key in responding to this disruption of work and business ecosystem. And it's good that most businesses were able to ramp up their efforts to meet this sudden change. But what is clear is that IT transformation precedes digital transformation. A successful digital transformation is dependent on the company's previous or current initiative in transforming their current IT system. So we've been modernizing our IT for several years, but as you can see here, the rigid 5 years CapEx refresh cycle is no longer sustainable. As a matter of fact, there's nothing transformative in doing refresh and forklift upgrade. And then the public cloud the public cloud economics and agility became very attractive. However, the public cloud is not a one-size-fits-all. Not all workloads can actually move to the public cloud, especially for applications which are data which are sensitive, that requires governance and compliance, security, performance, control, and even cost. Right? That's the reason why the hybrid and the multi-cloud model is becoming more popular. So IT infrastructure transformation is critical to digital transformation. Otherwise, your company won't be able to realize the benefits of digital transformation. So the key to a successful IT transformation is a holistic strategy and a good tactical plan. Like playing chess, you need a good strategy and tactics. If you've read, for example, The Art of War by the famous Chinese general Sun Tzu, and I quote, "Strategy without tactics is the lowest route to victory, but tactics without strategy is the noise before the defeat." So how do we start to develop holistic IT transformation strategy and tactical plan? If someone approaches a consultant for help, 9 in 10 of them would probably say, "Let me do an assessment of your IT environment first." More likely than not, they will also conduct an assessment of our people, of our processes and technology, infrastructure, and tools. The problem is there is a gap with this approach. Liken this to the picture, the blind man and the elephant story. The assessment results will depend on where the consultant or you looks into. In some cases, where the consultant wants to dig deeper, and in most cases, they will have their own biases. So IT is like a big elephant. You cannot see the complete IT transformation picture unless you explore all the different parts of the elephant. Being tactical only without a strategy, focusing on one area and ignoring the other relevant parts would be a huge and costly oversight for an IT organization. So the IT transformation picture puzzle, or what I called a while ago, the big IT elephant, consists of 9 major pieces. And each piece is entitled to its own transformation strategy and tactical plan. For example, we can define the infrastructure strategy by virtualizing all our servers, or a DR strategy with an active-active DR configuration. But for good governance practice, you need to align and prioritize all individual strategies. They should not be developed and implemented in isolation. Unfortunately, it is not uncommon practice for organizations to go for what we call a piecemeal strategy approach. It does not mean, though, that one has to develop 9 different strategies and transform its layer. You cannot do a big bang. It is unlikely that you will concurrently transform all 9 layers. A more likely scenario would be to transform the infrastructure, the one at the bottom, and then followed by data information, application, or end computing layers, not necessarily all at once. So let's imagine walking on the black arrow line below. And then let's stop at the box that we want to transform. Example, let's choose information infrastructure. As you develop your infrastructure transformation strategy, remember, you have to look at the boxes on the left and on the right. The strategy should also consider the impact and implication to your data, application, end user, security, compliance, DR backup, and so on. So the same holds true with the rest of the puzzle. So in summary, IT transformation starts with a holistic strategy that considers all of these 9 layers. The question right now is, where do we start? So most IT organizations will actually start their transformation journey with the infrastructure layer as shown in red here. This is because infrastructure is the foundation and everything else rides on top of. Let me cite an analogy to illustrate this further. Let's say you're cruising on your new luxury car, which is a Mercedes-Benz, along a smooth layer of highway, which is the infrastructure, versus driving the same Mercedes on a congested and potholed muddy road. You can have the best car, which represents your application or IT service, but the driving experience, which actually equates to IT service quality, is completely dependent on the road, which is your infrastructure itself. However, having said this is not necessarily the easiest layer to start with. As you can imagine, making changes to the infrastructure requires significant planning, time, resources, and investment. An ideal transformation of the infrastructure can take place over several stages, which is complex and costly, and that takes a lot of time and money. But it must be done, as we saw from the previous slide. So the question now is, how are we going to reach a stage where we have a flexible infrastructure so that we can focus more on our digital transformation journey? Most companies are looking at the cloud computing model so that they can focus most of their time and resources in developing applications and services to better engage their customers, enhance their productivity, enter new markets, and adapt to any disruption that comes along the way. Like, for example, in this case, the pandemic, and for some technology company, the shortage of chips. And these applications and services must continue to evolve with the current needs of the business without having to re-engineer the infrastructure at each stage, which is very, very challenging. So this is where the flexibility of the cloud model comes into play. But purely adopting a public cloud is not the best options for reasons I mentioned in the previous slides, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. So a hybrid model is actually the preferred approach. So this is where Sandz can help by bringing on-premise the flexibility and the economics of cloud computing. Our latest managed services, which will be explained further by Ken, is an on-premise private cloud infrastructure as a service made up of compute, storage, and network, and it should be pure consumption-based pricing. At the same time, what differentiates it from other private cloud, it is 100% API compatible with AWS. We can discuss more of this offline, and Mimi, the last speaker, will share with you our proof of value offering at the latter part of this webinar. So as you can see here, the IT buying patterns are really changing. Cloud adoption, both public and private and hybrid, has been on an all-time high. Companies are actually abandoning the traditional CapEx refresh model, and then they're now running their workloads on the cloud so that they could focus their resources and time and skills actually on digital transformation. So before I end my slide, my presentation, I would like to share with you, for example, the wealth of benefits of using Sandz managed services. On the left, you can see here, when we say transparent and reduced cost, our model is basically pure consumption-based pricing. So it has the agility. You only pay for what you consume. It is not like what other OPEX, what it calls offering, or which you have in the market, which is financing. And then improved service level, we have expert management 24/7, 365 days in the year, which are actually being managed by the same people, the same engineers who designed this technology. Okay, and then the last but not the least are the one that you get from cloud economics, agile, infinite resources. We even provide pre-upgrades as you go along. And then because it is a modern infrastructure, you get the benefit of better security and compliance, For example, all of your data will be encrypted with two-factor authentication. We comply to SOC 2, GDPR, etc. And the result is you get the trust and security of your customers. So this will be my last slide. Before I transition to the next speaker, I hand it over to Dali. These are actually some of our what we call this managed services offering. Starting on the left, we have the entire stack, infrastructure modernization, IaaS, storage as a service, and compute as a service. And then for the past, I would say 7 or 8 years, since 2013, we've been providing modern data protection, starting with backup as a service. And then we actually evolved that to a complete disaster recovery and business continuity. And the last two are actually our latest offering, our PaaS, database as a service, where we become, part of your DBA, container as a service. And then we also provide assistance or services for breaking your monolith application and convert them to what we call microservices and container. Okay, so that's it, Dali. So I'd like to hand over the floor to Dali.
Thank you so much, Sir Henry. I love the fact how you discussed about strategy and tactics. For sure, this is something that our listeners right now are, thinking about, and it definitely left a mark. I also love the representation about the elephant, by the way. Thank you so much, sir. So just a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them via the Q&A button on your screen, and we will address them shortly. So don't forget to keep an eye out for the scavenger hunt image as well. Now let's move on to our next speaker, Mr. Kendrick Chan.
Thank you, Dali. Let me just share my screen. Can everyone see my screen now? Right.
Yes, yes, we
So,
can.
okay, thank you, Dali. So, again, good morning, everyone. So, for those who doesn't know me yet, I'm Ken. I'm actually the head of professional services for Sandz Solutions. So, one of my primarily roles in this organization is to make sure that together with our customers, we do offer high valued services and we can help you transform or modernize your IT footprints. So, just going back to the discussions from Sir Henry a while ago, if you notice the trends in transformation, whether we call it digital transformation or we call it IT modernization, IT transformation, any modernization initiatives usually comes initially with the planning. Okay, everyone wants to modernize, everyone wants to transform. However, if we see the trends and we see how everything gets, evolve and everything gets, managed and strategized, usually that gets triggered by some sort of a situation or some sort of a pandemic, similarly to how the perfect example we can use right now it's COVID, right, or the current pandemic we are in. Now, if you notice the trend in digitalization towards this, especially in how you actually acquire groceries, how you actually do your digital banking solutions, and just how you actually interact with people. Given a perfect example now, usually this event will be face to face, but now we're using the confounds of a technology platform to actually help us communicate our message for this afternoon. So if you see the evolution, if you see how everything fares out, it's usually happening with a certain situation that gets triggered by everything. Now, we all know we wanted to transform, we all know we wanted to modernize, but usually the trends or the challenge that we see within organizations right now is how do we cope up with these technology changes? If you heard a while ago what Sir Henry mentioned a while, containers, microservices, a couple of years ago, this actually isn't a thing, or it wasn't really brought into conversations. We see our infrastructures, we see our applications in a multi-tier approach in a client-server environment or a three-tier architecture. That's usually how we develop or pattern out our systems. Then came cloud, where we want a bit more agility, we want a bit more flexibility and scalability in terms of all of these solutions. And then now we're pretty much convinced that the cloud strategy model actually really works in terms of all of these enhancements. We want to actually adapt more to that. Hence, container comes in, microservices architecture comes in, multi-cloud strategies come in, where you want to be able to deploy workloads um, on premise or on cloud, or what we call now very much stateless, where For as long as my applications will run, I really don't mind where the underlying infrastructure comes in. Now, those new technologies and those evolutions also with the technologies that we also adapt and acquire tends to add to the challenges and complexities in terms of how you manage all of this. Now, as part of our commitment and our services within SANS, our objective is really to help you modernize in what we call a modernization as a service model, wherein we help you or we ensure you that the acquisitions that you have or the service that we offer you based on your technological requirements or your business transformation needs are actually future proof. Means it protects you from any advancements in technology in the next couple of years. Secondly, is how quickly can customers or our partners adapt to these ever-changing business requirements. Wherein traditionally before, it's just as simple as IT acquiring to maintain operations. Now it's actually business that's driving the requirements for IT, and the technology is actually being used already to actually deliver those business requirements as well. And number three is how do we actually make sure and how do we actually help organizations adapt to that technology requirements we're offering our high valued services. Within SANS, we took this to heart. We took this, as a level of commitment we're in. When we do our managed services or when we do our services model, it's not just to deploy the technology. It's to make sure that the three layers of what we call our enablers actually happens at in your site or during our commitment or our term basis. Number one is of course people. Technology won't will just be another piece of a box, another just piece of a paper software or just an application if number one we don't know how to manage it, number two we don't know how to navigate and how to operate it, and number three we don't actually know how it's working. So the people, the engineers are actually the critical factor in all of the technological and modernization success. Technology only brings it to another level, but the people or the services that you actually use and actually maintains it on a daily basis actually what really drives that engine to move forward. Secondly, technology again. The technology will always be there. New technologies, new softwares, new platform, new ways to engage with consumers will always be there. But that technology should be future proof, should be enterprise grade, and can actually withstand any kind of deployments that you have. And number three, of course, it's service. Now, we have people, we have the right people, we have the right technology that we know can actually dig deeper in terms of your initiatives to modernize and to be able to help you move your business forward. But the most important thing there is service. Now, all of these services that we offer, all of these activities that you will be seeing in this webinar this morning, is actually aligned to what we call IT modernization, IT transformation initiatives. Okay, so to continue where Sir Henry left off a while ago, if you notice the IT transformation puzzle, you can start with any of these business layers, right? But if we added our services, so this is what we look like if you subscribe to our managed service or if you actually get in touch with you in terms of this business model. Now, what you see here in the lighter blue colors are actually what are existing technologies already within Sandz. For existing customers, we've already been pitching this. We've already been providing you with these services already. So we added enhancements to that flavor to continue to show and to continue to commit on the continuous evolution of our solutions as well. The ones on the darker blue portions, this is our take and this is our initiatives to actually propel not only the business models within SANS, but also to commit to our customers, existing and new clients in this case, that our technologies and our services continue to evolve as technology goes also evolves. Okay, so I'll be discussing a bit few details in terms of these enhancers and new technologies and how this can actually enable your organizations based on your business initiatives or transformation initiatives. So to start off, um, if you've been our customers before, you know we've already been deploying managed services or what we call storage as a service a couple of years ago. So we added a complete suite of what we call cloud-like economics, whether you want to deploy that on-premise in your data center or in your co-located environment, or even during a hybrid model eventually, called a complete infrastructure as a service. So when we actually deploy or actually subscribe to our service, not only do you get the compute requirements or the server requirements that you need based on capacity, you also get the storage requirements and the network connectivities that goes along with it. Now, if you have different requirements, it doesn't necessarily have to be for production use. You can actually use that same infrastructure service for backup requirements, for archiving or DR, whether you want to be able to use it for development and testing environments, you want to use it for production or for any analytical requirements, and deploy it on top of a bare metal or even virtualized or container environment. With a single infrastructure, you have all of these abundant requirements or business cases look available at your fingertips, and you just have to enable it without actually acquiring new sets of hardware, new sets of technology. Everything will just be subscribe and turn on, similar to how AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud does its business model. Now, to add to this slide, and before I move forward to the new technologies that we have, for our backup and data protection services, we added our capabilities, or we added another layer of protection called what we call an air gap solution. Now, with the existing footprints or the existing environments that you have, you can actually tap into an air gap service together with the same infrastructure that you already have, and have that additional layer of protection, not only to protect your backups for any malicious attacks, but also to protect you from ransomware. Okay, to continue and to introduce the new technologies that we have here in Sandz, we call this model our platform as a service model. Now, if we look at it very closely, when we talk to AWS, when we talk to Azure, talk to Google Cloud, their platform as a service involves the hypervisor, involves the operating systems. That's already been taken care of with the infrastructure as a service that we're offering. Now, the platform services layer, or what we call platform modernization initiatives, is really targeted for clients to be able to enable their microservices footprints. For example, if customers are already going to this journey of microservices or cloud native um, solutions, we offer you that same level of technology availability without actually acquiring different sets of or different layers of platform. For example, if you want to do a full scale container orchestration or Kubernetes approach, you don't have to look outside, but we also have that already enabled within our IaaS. Now, if you have already your environments, whether you have your own private cloud, you have your own bare metal servers, we can actually use the same level of software, launch it on top of your infrastructure, and have that same level of managed services arrangement within that same level of platform. Not only do you get the container layer, you also get the capabilities for your image services like Helm charts. You also get your service integrations with Terraform for automation requirements, and we can actually deliver different types of services on top of a single platform. If you want to use your DevOps languages using GitHub Docker or Django frameworks on top of the same platform, or you want to be able to integrate with the existing ones, or we can actually do that again with the same infrastructure or in the same platform. If you want to do a full-scale microservice, or you're planning to envision to do this eventually, we can actually have those same enabling technologies on top, again, of the same similar platform that we already have, and allow your applications to launch and load to a more scalable, more cloud native, and more multi-cloud ready services moving forward. And if you plan, and if you plan, or if you're already doing this innovation services called AI, ML, or even modern applications, again, all of these are actually ready for your consumptions if you actually subscribe to our service. Again, just to highlight, and before I continue to my next slide, if you have for existing customers with infrastructure with compute services already subscribe to our framework or subscribe to our service, you can actually just consume this on top of that existing platform. So you don't have to acquire new sets of technologies. Secondly, for those customers who are actually interested in this approach, at the end of my slides, I can show you how this building blocks framework can actually help you and prepare you to be more scalable in the future. Okay. Lastly, in my slide, before I continue to turn you over to Dali, which is going to be my highlight of the presentation this morning, is what we call a fully managed database services. Now, you do understand that all of these transformation initiatives, all of the application modernization requirements, all of these infrastructures, what's most important is actually the data that we store inside or the data that we actually consume for this application and these services to actually work. Now, with with the advancements of multi-cloud strategies, with the advancements of modernization, we want to make sure that the same infrastructure, with the same platform, and with the same service, we can actually offer your fully managed database model wherein you don't have to worry about scalability, resiliency, or preparing you for any geographical distributions for multi-cloud strategies in the future. And even if you plan to actually consume both a relational database model or a NoSQL or what we call a distributed approach, these services are all available within the same, again, with the same services that you also offer. If you want to spin off just the traditional relational databases, you can have MySQL, PostgreSQL available at your fingertips. If you plan to explore NoSQL functionalities, you have MongoDB available as a spin-off instance within the same infrastructure. And of course, number three, if you plan to do a fully scalable, fully distributed database model, we have partnered with the technology called Yugabyte to allow us to have a distributed SQL database functioning as a SQL and a NoSQL database functions across the same layer of infrastructure. Again, going to the same dynamics and the same economics of flexibility and scalability, not only that you can deploy this together with our IaaS and our PaaS, but you can also deploy this using your traditional infrastructure, using your existing footprints within AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. If you plan to do a fully scalable open source technology platform with OpenStack, or if you're in VMware, or even if you're already on a container services, these services can actually be launched on top of that without any issues. Okay, to show you our building blocks framework, again, our commitment and our value is really to provide you with that services on a per need basis. So you don't have to acquire all of these technologies all at once to be able to consume and have these services readily available. In the event that you plan to modernize your infrastructure, we can actually place in our consumption-based storage and compute infrastructure called IaaS ready in your data center or in your collocated site. If you plan to use your platform services or the containers eventually, if you want to explore that, you can actually just consume that on top of the IaaS services that we have. Similarly with the database and our data protection services. Now, if you don't have, and if you already have that compute or consumption-based layer, our platform services and our database services can actually work across different realms also of the infrastructure, whether that be your own infrastructure or whether that be as a cloud infrastructure outside of your data center. So our commitment is really to deliver um, your requirements and your technology modernization initiatives on a per need basis. So you don't have, so that saves you a lot of capital expenses, making you focus more for the strategic decisions and allowing us to actually help you run the operations while you actually plan out your initiatives moving forward. Okay. Now, to end my slide, and I just like to put this as part of the discussions this morning, is that technology will continue to evolve, and there's no stopping these vendors and these institutions outside of Sandz to actually continue to evolve, continue to adapt to new age of technologies, and to allow us to convince us to actually acquire these sets of services because of certain needs. Now, this picture that you see here this morning is actually from the Google office. So this is when they were building the office, and I know this is a true story because I've done my fair share of research, that when they were actually building the office, they were able to dig up fossils of dinosaurs within the same area where they built the Google headquarters. Now, they decided to maintain it in the office to remind Google that if they do not innovate and they do not actually transform their businesses in what they are today, they might end up like a dinosaur. So I hope no one in our customers, even us, ends up to be this one. But this is just a reminder to continue to innovate, continue to go for us to be able to actually continue to deliver the services our consumer are asking. And together with Sandz, our commitment is to deliver these services together with you to help you modernize your business strategies moving forward. Okay, thank you, and I turn you back over to Daddy.
Thank you so much, Sir Ken. That was very informative. And I love how we went with our analogies from Sir Henry's elephant to Sir Ken's dinosaur. I'm just wondering what else could be better than that or be bigger than that. Well, but now let's take a quiz break to give out a few prizes to our participants. Well, the mechanics are simple. We'll be asking a total of 5 questions based on what Ken and Sir Henry just presented. And the first one, so we'll be, let me just correct myself. It's going to be a total of 6 questions from our tech team. So we have a total of 6 questions based on what has been presented initially. And the first one to submit the correct answer in the chat box will get a gift voucher from Sandz Solutions Philippines. And we will place a marker after every question so we can easily track the answers of the participants. Reminder to all of the participants to have your chat settings be set to everyone, be sent to everyone. So when you open your chat box, make sure that the to is sent to everyone instead of a specific person or group. Okay. All right. So for our questions, question number 1. What is the most common struggle of IT? A, cost and agility versus compliance. B, cost and agility versus innovation. Or C, cost and agility versus application. The correct answer is B. Okay, so our winner is Kenneth Stephen. Kenneth Stephen. Okay. Congratulations, Kenneth Stephen. So for question number 2, blank is the backbone of digital transformation. A, infrastructure. B, backup. C, managed services. Okay, the answer is letter A. Well done, Richard Centeno. Congratulations. Richard Centeno is our winner for question number 2. Now for question number 3, managed services will not give you greater agility and innovation. True or false? True or false? So the answer is false. Congratulations to Marl Jerome. Marl Jerome. I can't see the entire name. I'm sorry. I can't see the last name. It says Marl Jerome. Congratulations. All right, for question number 4, what are the core enablers for Sandz managed services? A, cost, agility, and innovation. B, infrastructure, backup, and security. Or C, people, technology, and service. Okay, so the answer is letter C. Congratulations again to Kenneth Stephen. Can they win like twice? Okay, Kenneth Stephen won again. If they cannot win twice, the runner-up would be Ludrian Christopher. Okay, our backend team is taking note of that. Okay, for question number 5, what are the 2 new solution enhancements for Sandz? A, platform modernization, application and data modernization. Or B, AI and machine learning, cryptocurrency. Okay, so Q5, I'm just looking at the marker. And the correct answer is A. Congratulations to Nito Alvenis. Nito Alvenis. And I believe we have our last question. For question number 6, the 3 databases you can use in our database as a service are RDVMS, NoSQL, and distributed. True or false? For question number 6. The answer is true. Congratulations, Mr. Jason Ching. So those are our winners. Congratulations to everyone. Please expect an email or call from our marketing team regarding your prizes. Now, we're down on the final stretch of this event. I would like to present to you our lovely sales director, Miss Mimi Melejor.
Thank you, Dali, for that lovely introduction as well. Okay. So good morning, everyone. I am Mimi Melejor, as Dali mentioned, and I am a sales director of Sandz Solutions for managed services. So I'm here to discuss the exciting next steps to move forward with our managed services. Okay. So you've heard from Mr. Velasco, the journey to modernization, why everyone should take their steps towards IT transformation and modernization. And I'm pretty much sure in one way or another, some companies here are already taking their steps towards getting there, no? So whether those steps are as huge as Mr. Velasco's elephant, no, or as fast as the dinosaur ni Ken, no, I just don't have an image here. I don't have a turtle. Pero we want to make sure that we don't want to be the turtle there, or we don't want to take the turtle steps kasi we all know, no, na when it's too slow, the business requirements or business needs evolves very fast and technology changes in no matter of time. If we cannot catch up and if we cannot adopt, hence will be left behind. And of course, it might cause detrimental effects to the business or to our organizations. So even Sandz, as a company, we also had our version of transitioning from being a system integrator to becoming a managed service provider. So if you've known us before, we've been pushing popular big names like big brands. But basically, it's actually the same banana that every other SI is offering. So we want to differentiate ourselves. We transitioned, we transformed to really offer you unique value propositions that will definitely give you a quick head start or kumbaga jumpstart your modernization journey. So by offering these managed services, again, you don't have to build everything from scratch. Sandz will guide you all throughout that journey. So whether you are taking the elephant or the dinosaur steps, our managed services solutions are very flexible to either pace with you or accelerate that journey towards modernization. So if you want to take the first step from here, or if you want to get further with that journey, what's next? Okay, so what comes after this event or session? So on behalf of Sandz Solutions, I am very pleased to announce to you our launch of Sandz Lab. Next slide, Ange. Thank you. So basically, Sandz Lab is an online platform that allows you, our clients, to immerse yourselves with the featured solutions of our managed services offering. Again, it has been mentioned that it won't be an easy task to modernize everything since you have a lot of factors to consider. Okay, so our solutions will definitely not add to those complexities and difficulties. We want to unburden you with those non-strategic administrative tasks and allows you to focus on strategic activities that will contribute to the innovation or to the modernization that you're doing, and not just, keeping the lights on or the housekeeping portion. So with the Sandz Lab, you will experience by yourselves how efficient and seamless these IT housekeeping and modernization should be with our various managed services offering. Next slide, Anne. So what to expect at Sandz Lab? Well, definitely, you get to experience these various managed services solutions that we are offering, starting at the core expertise of our infrastructure modernization. You'll get to experience the unique value propositions that our infrastructure as a service, storage as a service, and compute as a service solutions offering. No? And next, ito, often pushed back to and least prioritized ng management. But if something happens, IT team is the #1 responsible for this very essential but not so strategic task, no, in preventing data loss and downtime. So that's why we are offering this to you. You will experience at Sandz Lab that with Sandz modern data protection and security services, backup as a service, DR as a service or archiving services are automated, easy, and recovery after most forms of disaster should be worry-free. Okay. And to experience firsthand all of those benefits that Ken just mentioned to you, in modernizing your platform, you can also explore our platform modernization services with platform as a service and database as a service offering. Okay. Next, Ash. Okay, so to take a closer look at what our infrastructure modernization brings. No? So in our Sandz Lab, you get to experience cloud-like management provisioning of compute and storage requirements, showcasing the granularity and flexibility of the solutions, both on the compute and the storage. So on the compute, there are like t-shirt sizing. So I think from small to medium to XXL, I believe, or triple XL yata. And templates available for provisioning VMs with OS, network, and security settings already there. No? And you can also experience that your apps performance will never slow down or hang again because of its unique auto-scaling features on demand when the performance, when your application needs it. Okay. So on the storage level, there's a granular provisioning of either block, file, and object storage with the award-winning VPSA technology. So if you happen to attend any of our webinars before or yung mga presentations that we have, how long will it take you to buy a storage with the config, with the drives, with the tiering, or with the mix that you want, or with the controller that you want, no? How long will it take you to forecast, to ask budget and approval from management to buy a specific storage array or arrays you need for various purposes? So months, diba? Sometimes it takes years of planning and even the procurement plus delivery, lots of waiting time. With our storage as a service, which you get to experience in our lab, provisioning a storage array is as easy as 1, 2, 3, may it be block, file, or object storage, or everything at once. Yeah, and with a configuration that you can modify anytime online without any disruption. If you need more capacity, you need more performance, in few clicks, there's no disruption, you can have it. And let's say you don't need this this much, or my project is done, I can shrink, downgrade, or decommission it anytime. So as easy as that. And you can also get to explore navigation settings for the entire platform that includes cost management and performance management as well. So by the way, did I mention that whatever you get to experience in our lab, definitely once you subscribe to us, the same experience, we can deliver it on your premise, deploy to your own data center, to your own firewall, definitely adapting to your own network and security policies. So yes, you can. Okay, next slide. So for modern data protection services, you get to explore various data protection solutions based on SLA that you need, so which is defined by your recovery point objective and your recovery time objective, so your RPO and RTO. So you can experience BAAS and disaster recovery as a service, or DRAAS, which features its own strengths and advantages, or complementary solutions that go together for complete end-to-end data protection. So you can configure backup and recovery for multiple mixed environments, maybe virtual, public, physical, bare metal, and even private clouds, no? As well as other applications such as operating system, file level, database level, backup and recovery. And you can do quick navigation and setup of workloads for operational recovery. Then you get to experience a very seamless setup, configuration, and showcase of DR software for virtual environments. So implementing a data protection solution need not be complicated, more so need not be expensive. You don't have to build your own DR site to experience quick and fast recovery for your applications in case a disaster happened in your primary site, right? So with our tools and technologies, you can easily leverage the cloud's presence like AWS, Azure, Google. Sometimes yung iba hesitant lang to go there because I'm not sure if it will work. But in our Sandz Lab, we are very ready to show that to you, showcase it to you where it provides, diba, pag nasa public cloud ka, an on-demand failover instances only when you need it. So imagine the savings that you can get as well. Okay. And you get to experience live the benefits, all that has been mentioned, and the advantages of our platform modernization. Platform as a service, wherein you get to set up and configure a container orchestration platform. You can also explore management and navigation on container orchestration capabilities and deployment methodologies. And for database as a service, so there are readily available services for you to experience wherein you can set up and configure distributed databases as well as SQL and NoSQL database. You can also do a quick navigation on database management and data creation, and get a quick access to the universal management for database for multi-clouds. Yeah, and so our objective with our Sandz Lab really is you get to realize that with the right tools and technology in place, and with the right people with skills, so diba, ito yung sinasabi nating enabler ng modernization, with the right people and skills that you engage with, your modernization journey should not be difficult and that complex at all. We are here to help and make it, in as much as possible, easy and seamless for you. Okay, next, Ange. So if you're interested to experience our Sandz Lab, signing up is as easy as 1, 2, 3 as well. So you just need to sign up via online via the Sandz Lab webpage. There's a link provided there. You will just have to provide basic information like your contact details, and then you will receive an acknowledgement email from any of the Sandz representative. They'll get back to you for validation and then scheduling. And then once we agreed on a schedule, depending on the service you want to experience, you get a guided access to the Sandz Lab. No? So there will be a quick demonstration of what this service can do, specific features and functions. And afterwards, you get to explore everything by yourself for a period of time. So grab that. No? Hopefully, maraming mag-sign up for this. And because it's Burr months already, okay, so in the past year, si IT, pag during Burr months, ito na yung budgeting cycle natin, di ba? And for others, nag-uubos na lang ng budget yung iba, okay? So I'm not so sure if it's still the same kung ngayong pandemic, kung meron pa rin bang mga budgets na uubusin. But well, whether nag-uubos kayo ng budget or na-cut yung budget nyo or na-push back yung project nyo, this might help, okay? So we are glad to offer you this promo for our new clients of managed services. If you sign up now for our managed service until December 31 this year only, you will get 3 months free for every minimum 12-month subscription. Ayan. So, for example, kung January 2022 pa yung budget mo na dapat for that specific project, okay? But you need the tools now. You need to protect your data now. Anything can happen, especially pag peak season, pag during the Burr months, diba? Or you need to modernize. You need to start your modernization journey now. So you can start subscribing now. You will be billed by January 2022 pa. So you can avail of that initial 3 months free, diba? So parang ano lang yan, advance na, hindi lang 13th month pay. Meron tayo sa parang hanggang 15th month bonus ang what we are offering to you. So for more details of this promo, please contact any of our Sandz representative to discuss the full terms and conditions of this promo. Okay, so basically that's ends my presentation. Take the next step to your modernization journey. So we'll turn you over back to Dali. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mimi. I think I just found out what's bigger than the dinosaur and the elephant. That's your 12 plus 3 sign up promo. So I hope everyone is looking forward to sign up for the Sandz Lab. Thank you so much. So, everyone, we are now at the tail end of the event. But before we end this morning session, we would like to open the floor for any questions from our participants. Feel free to type your questions via the Q&A button so we can address them with our panel of speakers. We are ready to take your questions now. One question here is: managed services expensive than creating our own infrastructure? Anyone from our panel of speakers, Sir Henry, Sir Ken, Miss Mimi?
I can initially answer it, and then maybe Ken and Mimi can. So comparing our managed services, which is pure consumption based, versus, let's say, implementing your own infrastructure by a rigid capex model. So what we see, the buying patterns, the traditional capex model, which is a 5-year TCO, you would normally purchase over provision all of the resources, the 5-year resources, whether that's a compute, storage, or network from day one. And remember, since this is not a pure consumption, whether you're using those resources, especially in day one, let's say you provision so much compute and resources that you will be looking for 5 years, and then with a, let's say, a 30% buffer for unplanned use. No, so definitely our flexible pricing, which is an up and down, which is pure consumption, like what Mimi said. When you need the capacity or the resources, it will be there. When you don't need it, you can scale it down or even decompose it. So we've done a lot of TCO, what we call this analysis for our customers, especially the new ones and the current ones that we have. And our TCO based on these are local companies, primarily from the bank, telco, and manufacturing, and even government. A 5-year TCO compared to a pure consumption, because after 5 years, you have to refresh again, right? All of those over provision that you bought in the last 5 years, you have to throw them out and buy them again. So our customers are actually experiencing about 30 to 50% savings, right, over that period. At the same time, if you go for the capex model, remember what you buy on day one, right? And then in 5 years, that the personality of the infrastructure will never change. They will get old. They will get obsolete, etc. Right? In our case, during your subscription period, even for a minimum of 12 months, right? If you need modern technology, for example, we have a customer who initially subscribed for hard drives, and then suddenly in just a couple of 3 months, they said they want more flash. So we remove all of those old, the existing hard drive and replace them with flash. So your technology in our managed services is always in lockstep with the current, what they call this technology. So it will never get old, right? And then there's zero downtime and so on. So we provide actually sometimes on given a specific condition, an uptime guarantee of 100% in writing, given some conditions, of course, right? And we have some customer actually references who could actually vouch for that. I hope I was able to answer the question.
I believe so. You did,
So
sir.
it's
Thank you so
cheaper.
much.
In most cases, it will be cheaper compared to a capex, and even an opex, no, a financing. So remember, opex are not all the same. Ours is really cloud-like. You can actually scale it up, scale it down, just like a utility. No, parang Meralco. If you don't need the current, you just shut it down and so on. Okay.
I'd like
Thank
to
you, Sir
chime in
Henry.
also in the discussion. So, when we say kasi cost, it's very relative, but I think aside from the technology that you're going to acquire and the services, the learning curves kasi that we're offering or what we actually offer to the table, there are a lot of hidden or uncertainties kasi dun sa when you do the there's acquisitions. Like if you buy servers, alam natin kung ano yan, but if we try to look at the bigger picture of what we plan to intend to run on top of that platform, if you plan to do containers, database services, yung mga learning curves or yung mga hidden charges kung tinatawag natin, those aren't foreseen usually when you do computations. In a managed service model kasi, that actually protects the organization or the customers in terms of all of those knowledge acquisitions. Kasi you're not only buying the technology, but you're actually buying the service and the model. The technology just comes with that service. So, well, it's again, cost is very relative, but what it can actually bring to the table gives a lot more value to what you're trying to acquire.
All right. Another question that's on the chat right now. Would you also offer managed service as an on-premise setup, or do you have your own data center in the Philippines with managed service? Our concern is the unstable internet connectivity in our country. Are the data line connection, can this be packaged as part of any applicable managed services required by the latter, if ever telco preferred by by the customer?
Let
Let me
me,
answer, sir.
sige. Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Mimi.
Miss
Yeah.
Mimi.
So for the first question from Mr. Kenneth Kuano, definitely, sir, our managed services offering are location agnostic. So we can either deploy it on-prem, whether it can be also hybrid, in a public cloud or in a private cloud. The reason, tama ka, exactly the reason is there are some concerns on the internet stability or connectivity in our country. That's why there are still lots of customers who would want to or who prefers to deploy everything, their infrastructure on premise. But definitely that is not a problem. That's part of our expertise as well. Kasi that makes us unique because we bring the cloud, all those cloud benefits, the cloud agility, the cloud flexibility, which is supposedly present only in the cloud, no, the public cloud. But we can bring that all those features and advantages on your premise, within your data center, inside your firewall, kumbaga, connected to your network and your security protocol. So definitely, it's the consumption base and the cloud economics that we can provide on-prem, but with much better control from your end. So yes, that is really one of the unique differentiation of our managed services. And we can also do hybrid. So once we have deployed on-prem, sometimes for DR purposes, instead of building another one or doing it on your own, no, or building everything from scratch, we can do hybrid as well. So we can leverage the technology. The same experience that you have on-prem will be the same experience when you go to any of the public cloud service providers. So that's really part of the service or the features of our managed services that we offer.
Right. And in continuity, Miss Mimi, how about the data line connections?
Hold on.
Can it be like,
Let me just weigh into what Mimi said. So, in a
okay,
nutshell, our model is actually what we call location agnostic. You can have it on-prem within your own data center or your co-location, at the same time on a hybrid public cloud, as well as our service provider here. The two telcos are service provider. So if you want to keep, for example, no, full control because of security, compliance, performance, and so on, it's better to have it on-prem on your co-location facility if you don't have your data center. Now, if you're okay with the multi-tenant strategy instead of, so that especially if you have a problem with your bandwidth or power, in most cases nakikita namin power ang issue no? Sa mga data center, not the space and so on, is that we can actually host you on those what we call is the Vitro data center or MK2 data center of our two service providers, no, within the country, and they can also provide you with what we call this any telecom services. In most cases naman, they are what called telco neutral, the Vitro and the MK2. And so it depends. So if you need a DR, instead of provisioning your own what calls DR, etc., it's better to have a co-located. Use our co-location facilities so that you don't have to spin up those resources, which in most cases what we call idle asset, waiting for a major disaster. That won't even happen. So sayang lang if you're going to spend a lot of what we call this capital, lalo na ngayon wala tayong masyadong capital expenditure, no? And at least doon na lang consumption base. So since we've been doing data protection for several years, we have actually a lot of customers actually using those services. It is a multi-tenant, but your data remains private, no? Walang makakakita mo. Okay? So it depends on your scenario. So location agnostic, etc. Right?
and I love how we are getting all the questions here as well, Sir Henry. To follow through to the earlier question, can a customer impose an SLA for availability and security on the holistic infrastructure with a data line connection? That question came from Sir Lito.
Uh, Well, actually, our what we don't offer a product. So instance, since it's a managed services, what we're actually offering is an SLA, or what we call now SLO, no, service level objective. Depending on your objective, in most cases, we will comply to that one. And like I said, for example, on some uptime, not the telco, because we're not a telco company. We're also dependent on the telco like you, no? So at least on the, for example, on our infrastructure as a service, given the right scenario, like I said, for example, if we're able to proactively monitor those resources, wherever they are, on-prem, in our cloud, etc., we can actually, we're the only company, together with our partner, Sadara, who provides what we call 100% uptime guarantee, right? Meaning, if the services is attributed to our service at Bumabayan, we even rebate you, right, etc. So we can discuss about that. So it depends on what kind of SLA, no? So some are actually, can you, for example, guarantee this performance? But siyempre, relative yan, you know? Especially if some of the resources are actually not everything coming from our resources. But within our control, we can actually provide some specific SLA guarantee, right? And so at least mga threshold and so on, okay? I hope I'm
Okay.
able to answer the question.
Yes, yes, you did, sir. Thank you so much. And I love how interactive our participants are. Let me read a question from our Q&A box. How long can we access the lab? Exclusive for us only?
Sorry,
Miss
Danny.
Mimi?
Yeah, so I can answer that.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the specific service that you want to explore then. Remember, there are various services offering that you can choose from. And once you sign up, sir, we can schedule you for that lab access. And then there will just be a quick demo run through. After that, I think depends on the use case that you want to experience. You can you can have, or you can explore the lab by yourself for probably 3 days to at most a week, and that will be exclusive to you. Yes.
So the question about exclusivity, our infrastructure is multi-tenant. It's a true multi-tenant, but each tenant is actually remains private, totally isolated. So if you want to test, for example, some specific workload, whether your data are synthesized or synthetic or actual data, you are actually a private, no? You're actually what they call this. All of the resources that will be given to you are dedicated to you, right? But it's a multi-tenant. There will be others concurrently accessing it, but you're totally isolated.
Thank you, Sir Henry and Miss Mimi. We have another question from Miss Gloria Delfin. Her question, is there any minimum contract cost in availing your managed services and minimum contract duration?
Let
I think
Mimi
she's
answer that one.
interested.
Yes, I will. Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Gloria. Definitely, there's a minimum contract duration of 12 months, at least, 1 year subscription period. But the minimum contract cost will depend on the kind of service that you want to avail with us. So again, as mentioned, there are various services. If it is more of infrastructure optimization, there is like just a minimum parang commit or floor plan. Kumbaga, let's say the analogy is, let's say you subscribe to a phone plan, no? Plan 500, diba? Where you get a phone and then you get unlimited calls and data, or you get to do subscribe to ano man yung mga services na ino-offer ng telco na yun, no? So that the same logic applies to our infrastructure as a service. There is a minimum floor or a minimum commit cost monthly, but that is very minimum. But from there, you can access, or you can provision unlimited and scalable resources, diba? Depending on how much resources you need. So anytime and on the fly na po yun. Yun lang parang pinaka phone floor plan yung minimum contract cost for our services. But for other services, let's say data protection, sometimes there is no infrastructure required. We have some clients who would want to leverage on their existing infrastructure, and they would want the software or the tool that does the backup and the replication. So with that, it will entail very minimal subscription cost as well. So depends on the SLA and on the specific service that you will subscribe with us. But at least the duration should be at least 12 months.
Yeah. So the 12 months is actually more for on-prem. No? So since I said location agnostic, we have some services running on the public cloud, right? And even on the colo, no, sa mga telco. I'm not familiar with the what you call policy of the telco, but in the public cloud, you know, you can subscribe for or even 1 hour. But if it's on-prem, right? If it's an on-prem, like Mimi said, the minimum subscription is 12 months, and then it's like a postpaid, but you only pay on a monthly basis. Compare this with the current traditional actually offering, which is OPEX based, because everything is going OPEX right now, which is a financing. There is a such thing called subscribe capacity, whether that's a compute, storage, or network, or everything. You have to subscribe to about 70-80% over a period of 3 years, and you have to pay that subscribe capacity what you call is upfront every year in advance, and then ang flexibility mo lang is actually above that subscribe capacity. In our case, our floor plan, right, depending on the resources, like what Mimi said, is minimal, right? Especially if you're a big company, it won't even come into play. Talagang ano siya, flex, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay?
Thank you so much, Sir Henry. And thank you, everyone, for all of your questions. Now, if you would be interested to know more about any of the solutions presented today or this morning, we can definitely schedule a separate meeting right after this event. Our marketing team will get in touch with you shortly. All right. Now, usually at this point of the event, we would be acknowledging our early bird winners. But for accuracy, we will be getting in touch with the early bird winners once we are able to extract the report from our event platform. Well, the 3 winners will be notified by our marketing team after this event and will get a gift voucher from Sandz Solutions. And now it's time to conclude the scavenger hunt. Don't send in your answers just yet. Make sure to check your chat settings to be sent to everyone. First 3 correct answers will win me mini drone. Now, if everyone is ready, I'm asking the question right now. How many times were you able to see our scavenger hunt image throughout this session? On my cue, send your answers in 3, 2, and 1. Okay. All right. We're getting a lot of answers from the participants. This is really good. Okay. Well, I would like to congratulate the winners in advance. Please expect a call from our marketing team in the coming days regarding the delivery of your prizes, including the ones for scavenger hunt. We will be reviewing all of your answers and we will be announcing the winners soon. Well, last announcement before we close the session, we will be sending a post-event feedback form after this. Please do not forget to answer in order for you to stand a chance to win gift vouchers from Sandz Solutions Philippines. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code showing on the screen right now to access the feedback form. On behalf of everyone from Sandz Solutions Philippines, my name is Dalia Brasado, and I thank you for joining us this morning, and I wish you all a good day ahead. Have a great day, everyone.